Winter is coming. Living with a chronic illness, the winter can get a bit tough for some of us. And there is a high circulation of winter viruses like the flu. And people living with chronic illnesses, especially those with sickle cell disease, are more vulnerable. Also, it is going to be a very tough winter for most of us. We are facing a record high in energy prices, and the prices for essential goods and services are skyrocketing by the day. Have you checked the price of fuel recently? It's insane. It's costing the average car owner £100 to top up your car to the max. That is crazy. How are we going to survive this? Most vulnerable people, and especially those with sickle cell disease, depend on heating to survive the winter months. You see, for those with sickle cell disease, the cold causes the vessels in our hands, our legs, our ears, and nose to narrow. And because of this, you're more prone to develop a sickle cell crisis. And as a result, you might get admitted into hospital. But we don't want that. We don't want that. So I'm here to give you some tips on how to prepare and survive these winter months, even with its challenging cost of living crisis. We can survive this and we will see it through. So stay with me. The first advice I'm going to give you is that please make sure you get your flu vaccine. I don't know, wherever you are in the world, there's always the winter vaccine for those vulnerable people, for those living with sickle cell disease. I have had my flu vaccine. I have had my pneumonia vaccine. Please endeavor to get your flu and pneumonia vaccine as soon as you can, because during the winter months we are more vulnerable to catch things like flu and pneumonia, and you do not want that. Speak to your GP and get yourself vaccinated. Also, always remember to wash your hands every single time you touch someone or touch something or touch your face. Wash it with soap and water to remove all the germs. If you go out and you come back in, first thing you do, you wash, even before you take your coat off, wash your hands clean with soap and water, so you can, take off all the germs and viruses that you come in contact with. Another thing that's worth noting is for you to dress warm. So please remember to put on layers during the winter months. So what I tend to do is I have a lot of thermal things. So I have thermal socks, thermal vests. So I got these socks from Primark. You don't need anything expensive. So I got these pair, 5 pair for £5 from Primark, and that's how cheap they are. You don't need anything fancy. So I got these thermal vests. I have some old ones, but these I just got them yesterday. Really good, keeps me warm. I've had them. The ones I have got upstairs, I've had them for many years. I've got some thermal tights, so I put them underneath my jeans or joggers or whatever I'm wearing, and they keep me really warm at home. And I find that when I wear them at home, I don't even need to put the heating on. So I will advise you to get yourself one of these. And it's always advisable to put on more layers, so that if you feel a bit too hot, you can take some of them off, instead of not putting enough and then catching a cold. So when I go out, I dress really warm, have a scarf, if it gets to that time where we need gloves, put your gloves on, put your hat on. Always dress warm. Indoors, outdoors, it saves you on a lot of trouble. So another thing to remember is to drink plenty of fluids. Stay hydrated. This is something that we don't tend to do enough during the winter months. Personally, I don't get thirsty during the winter months, but we have to drink plenty of water, plenty of tea. So, when the weather is cold, all I want to do is wrap up. So I tend to find that I don't drink as much fluids during the winter, and you easily get dehydrated, and dehydration can bring you a lot of problems. We don't want that. So please drink plenty of fluids. And my magic during the winter months is turmeric and ginger tea, and this is so nice and therapeutic. And turmeric helps with inflammation, and ginger helps with inflammation. So there is no better way of drinking that lovely winter drink. I'll show you a little demonstration of how I make mine. So it's very easy. Make sure you drink lots of warm drinks, soups, tea, whatever you fancy that is warm. Keep yourself hydrated. I highly recommend you getting one of these. So this is a throw that I use most of the time. I mean, during the winter months, I bring this baby out. So they keep me really nice and warm. And if you get one for yourself, you might find that you don't even need to put the heating on because they're really nice and fluffy and cozy. So what I tend to do is that I use my hot water bottle. I mean, I've had this hot water bottle for many years. So I first thing in the morning, I put some boiled water in there, and it keeps warm for 24 hours. So the next day it's still nice and warm. And you can see it's old and battered, but it doesn't matter. It still works. So what I tend to do is put my hot water in here, put it underneath. Even when I'm in the office, when I'm working, I sit with it and it keeps me nice and warm. And you find out I don't even need to put the heating on because the kids have gone to school. There's no point heating the whole house. So this, you need one for yourself. Also, make sure that you take your meds regularly and make sure that you have enough supplies. The last thing you want is for you to need it and you don't have it. It's better to have it and not need it. So make sure you have enough supplies of your medication and also understand the side effects of it. Some of the medications we take have various side effects. One of the ones that I take, when I'm in a crisis, makes me very, very sick. So I always have to remember to ask my consultants or my doctors, to give me anti-sickness as a result. So make sure you have enough medication, enough supplies, and understand the side effects so you can get, other stuff to counteract the side effect. Remember that. And also, for me personally, I tend to do online shopping a lot when it gets colder. I know I love my bargains. I love to go into the market, but when it gets really cold, I would rather do online shopping to avoid the queues and, the cold weather. So most of the things these days you can find online. Even your plantains, I tell you, you can find on Amazon. Every single thing is online. So shop online and avoid getting out in the cold. Wash your fruit and veg regularly. Every time you buy your fruits and vegetables from the supermarkets, from the markets, wash them well before you eat them. And last thing is to exercise regularly. It doesn't have to be intense. What I find is that during the winter months, my joints tend to get stiff. And because we're sitting for too long, we are not as mobile and we get stiff joints most of the time. So what I find is that when I do flex my body, when I go for a walk, do my exercise, you can do them indoors because that's exactly what I do. Just put the TV on, put YouTube, and just get on with it. I find that I feel better. I don't get as much stiff joints as possible, and you get a good blood circulation. So I hope these tips have helped you. And please tell me some of the survival winter tips that you tend to do during the winter. Thank you for watching, and look after yourself and keep warm. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. God bless.